Hello, and welcome to Before the Door, a podcast by Door Monster fans for Door Monster fans. I'm your host, Backdoor Productions, and today we're joined by Mefek. Say hello, Mefek.
Hi.
Mefek, how's it feel to be the first guest on what's sure to be a long-lived and historic podcast?
I feel that my performance will stand the test of time, and everything is downhill from here.
That is probably correct. Yeah, I don't see how anyone else could possibly measure up. Just for if anyone happens to encounter you anywhere outside the Discord, are there any other names/usernames you go by within the Door Monster community that someone might know you by?
Nope, I'm pretty consistent. It's just Mefek.
All right, Mefek everywhere. Mefek.
Yep.
For any listeners who are less closely involved in the Door Monster community, how might they know you?
I have done some stuff. I'm on the Reddit a lot, and I make some memes. I'm also the reason that Kyle's able to play through his. Oh my god, I forgot the name of the game. Persona 5
Persona,
playthrough.
yes, Persona. Yeah, and if any of our listeners have not watched either the streams or my compilations of them, please do so. It is incredibly entertaining.
Yeah, I watch both.
Um,
Your compilations are so fun.
Thank you so much. I always enjoy the ego inflating. Just to flesh out your personal character a bit, could you tell us one interesting and one boring fact about yourself?
Sure, I guess the boring fact would be that I'm a teacher, and that's just like my profession. Uh, an interesting fact about myself. Ooh, I don't feel very interesting. It's hard for me. Like, I can jokingly be very self complimentary, but I am incapable of doing it in like real life.
Hey, look, interesting doesn't have to be complimentary. It can just be weird.
That is true.
Let's do an easy, relatively interesting one. How much time have you sunk into Stardew Valley recently?
Oh yeah, I've sung about like 15 hours. Once again, damn you, Polaris. It's your fault.
Polaris, Ursa Polaris in the Discord for anyone who is not familiar. Though you should, if you're listening to this podcast, absolutely join us in the Door Monster Discord. It's a very fun time. Speaking of Door Monster, Mefek, how did you first discover the channel?
It was years ago. It was probably like 2018 around there, and me and my friends had just started getting really into D&D, and I don't remember if it was me who kind of introduced it to my friends or my friends who did it to me, but Door Monster had some D&D like thematic videos, and it was just so fun. And my friends still like Door Monster to some extent, but I just really dived into it and just binged everything that was available, and I really just started following after that.
So, how many times have you been through the binge watch playlist?
Oh, I, saying that I lost count isn't great, but that's kind of the truth. I don't know. I've watched it a lot of times.
Amazing. And you said so you started on the D&D content. Do you remember any of the first sketches you watched?
Trying to think of the name. It was probably the diplomacy one. That one's still my favorite too.
Diplomancy, yeah.
Yeah, diplomancy. Uh, that one's really great. I'm just trying to make sure. Yeah, I think that was it. I think it was diplomancy.
Yeah, that's the my name is Greg and I killed a chicken with a man. That's the line. That's the
Yeah,
line.
which is just a
Um
great line. Uh, I like when I started playing D&D, I got really into my character, which was a rogue at the time. But I also realized, oh, I am much more into like the conversation part of D&D than the fighting part of D&D, and so this just spoke to me in like a really great way. Uh, it's just like how I like to play my characters in like a really exaggerated way, but it was really fun. But yeah, there's some really great lines, and that line is probably my favorite.
you mentioned you're someone who likes the more like conversational side of it. I'm guessing you also like the gone but not forgotten sketch,
Oh yeah, I
the
love that
one
sketch.
where
When I was saying it, I was thinking of that Kyle's speech where he's talking about like pulling on the threads of this tapestry that makes up the story. It's great. That's how I like to see D&D, and I don't know. It's just really it gets me a little frustrated with my friends because I definitely still have friends who do that exact thing where they'll try to do something really stupid and they'll treat it like a video game where everything can kind of just get worked itself out. But I don't know. I love the idea of like every choice you make has lasting consequences. You have to actually think about what you're doing beforehand. And if you mess up, you messed up and you have to kind of deal with those consequences.
So, in that regard, have you also watched some of the Door Monster tabletop RPG campaigns?
I haven't watched them as much as I probably should have. I've never been super into watching D&D. I just like Door Monster enough where they're like the one channel that actually do it. Uh,
Do you remember Guest Quest?
you might have to give me more context.
Yeah, Guest Quest. It was the two one-off episodes where it's just Olive, formerly known as Ethan.
Yeah.
Olive was in like DMing one-on-one with once it was Kyle, and then the other time it was
Oh yeah, I'm familiar. Like there was like a Walmart episode and stuff, right?
yes.
Yeah, I remember this. Oh, those were funny.
They were very fun. I'm still disappointed that those stopped. There's a secret Ricky episode. There's a secret third episode, and I don't know what happened to it. I know it exists. I know it was never published, and I'd love to see it if it ever becomes available again. But while we're on that kind of topic, it sounds like you prefer the like D&D theme sketches. Do you have one which is specifically your favorite? One video, and might not be a D&D theme one, but one Door Monster video or sketch that you absolutely love.
Yeah, I just want to clarify. I actually just like all of the sketches. The D&D stuff is how I got started, and I am a big D&D person, but I'm also a big video game person, so a lot of the sketches really speak to me. But maybe it's because Diplomacy was my first one. But I always just love that one. That might be my favorite. That might stand the test of time. I think I even answered that question in Discord once, and that was my answer. I want to stand by that. But there's some other really great sketches that I love. It's probably just Diplomacy is my favorite.
All right. And you've kind of touched on this already, but what do you like most about Door Monster? What keeps you coming back?
I feel like my interests really align with just the content they make. But outside of that, I just love the sense of humor. I feel like my sense of humor has maybe been mildly shaped by Door Monster because I started watching Door Monster like immediately after high school. But if not shaped, then really in line with the Door Monster kind of sensibilities. Beyond that, I don't know. I just always have a fun time, no matter like the various changes of how the channel was going. Like when we shifted to D&D content and shifted back, and then there was like just time that had to be taken for like moving and all that stuff. The content itself was always fun for me. It was always good content.
So you mentioned that it's like this style of humor that you like, and you're not sure whether they shaped it or they shaped your style of humor, or your style of humor just happened to match the Door Monster one. How would you define that, like that style of comedy? What is the Door Monster style?
Oh, it's kind of a hard question, but I'll go for it. Um, I don't know, I think there's a lot of aspects to it. I think that Door Monster is really good at setting up a premise and then right near the end of the video, kind of turning it on its head or switching it up or just doing some unexpected thing that I find hilarious. Like an example that comes to mind, I guess because we're talking about D&D, would be like the tavern where you're following these adventurers going throughout this like conversation in this tavern, and then at the end you're hit with the surprise of like, oh no, the adventurers aren't the players, it's the tavern workers who are the players. They just have set up a tavern and they just work there. And I think that's hilarious, and the DM is clearly frustrated. And on a rewatch, you can kind of see like all the hints were there. Clearly, the adventurers were trying to get the tavern folk to kind of just leave the tavern and just go and explore this world that the DM tried so hard to create. Uh, but they kind of just resisted it and refused the entire time, and it just ends with that like, I'm just so done with this from the DM, which was just great. So that kind of thing I love, where you just kind of see this great setup, which is funny in its own right, but then rewatching it, it's just, oh, you see all these things kind of coming together. That's one thing Kyle's really good at. It's just having all these like threads kind of just tie in. Uh, Beyond that, I think some of the jokes are just willing to do like the quick and easy jokes, which I love, but also just like the we're setting something up way in the beginning, making you forget about it, and then paying it off at the end. the humor always feels like clever. Maybe it's not like, oh, you must have an IQ of 1,000 to understand it, but like it's never lazy. It's always like witty at its like quickest, or like a really nice setup at its like longest. I'm trying to think of the best way to describe this.
That's a very good description, I think. Especially the bit about like these things you notice on rewatches. I think that that really does contribute to the fact that a lot of the like core fan base has watched these videos again and again and again, because there are things you don't notice until your second or your third or your fourth watch through. The one that sticks out to me is like the hobo nouveau, the wallet and the hat. That's not something you like notice until sometimes until it's pointed out to you, or sometimes until like you've watched it 5 times.
Every time though, Hope does something like that, where it's like that was amazing, and like how they do it. It's never just like, oh, it's just movie magic and he just happens to have it. It's like, no, they show it to you. You see it happen on screen. You're just looking somewhere else while it's happening. But when on the rewatch, yeah, he pickpockets. I guess in the short or in the video, it's LeBron, but Jeff. Yeah. Even in the most recent the most recent hobo video, you see it right off the beginning, or right off the start. He pickpockets JP, takes his keys, and then like shows it to him later as if it just magically happened.
Yeah, no, it's very well done, and I think the editing plays a lot into that. There's in my opinion, there's a lot of comedy in some of the edits.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, it's very fast paced. It's very fun like that. Speaking of things you notice, how deep into the Door Monster fandom are you? Like, what's the most obscure Door Monster thing you know about?
It's the most obscure. Once again, like once I know about it, I don't feel like it's obscure. Maybe it's just those like quick cuts of the various hobo videos or whatever, where you kind of just see everything being set up beforehand. Uh,
And it may not be a sketch related thing, like if you happen to listen to one of the old podcast episodes or any of the spin-off things that sometimes fans don't know exist, anything like that.
oh, uh, yeah. I'm trying to think of what we've seen recently in the podcast, like okay, we're up late, or just Kyle's VFX stuff, which was really fun. I actually love the VFX stuff. I kind of wanted to bring it back.
Yeah, tell him to be good at placing gravel again.
Yeah. Oh my God. Maybe the gravel thing. The gravel thing is so obscure, and it's like me and one other person who really still try to carry this, which is during one of the VFX streams, we were complimenting Kyle, which ended up creating a whole like Discord channel temporarily of compliments for Kyle, which derailed immediately. But the gravel thing, it was always so funny. He was placing gravel. He was worried about it not being like good content, and so we were just all trying to hype him up for it. Uh, and it lived on for a couple of streams after that. And whenever the topic comes up for gravel, it's me and I can't remember who else, but we'll bring it up in the same way. We'll do all caps and be like, Kyle, you're the best at this. You're the best at placing, you're the best at placing gravel. And for some reason, it always comes back to gravel.
To be clear to anyone who randomly stumbles upon this podcast, Kyle is good at many things, placing gravel among them.
He's the best at placing gravel.
He's the best at placing
Yeah.
gravel. No one better at it than him. So, are there any other YouTubers you're passionate about? Maybe in the same vein as Door Monster, maybe not.
To the same, like, Door Monster, like, not forcing anything, is probably my favorite channel. Like, yeah, they're probably my favorite. But other ones that I like a lot would probably be Wizards with Guns. They're pretty funny. I guess I like a lot of sketch channels. Uh, what else have I been watching a lot recently? Honestly, the two that come up to like top of my list are Door Monsters and Wizards with Guns, and Door Monsters at the top. Uh, I watch a lot of YouTube stuff, but it's just more sporadic and just based on topic rather than channel. Door Monster and them are just kind of the only ones I really like. I'm checking in weekly.
Any video game channels?
Oh, I guess I watch a lot of video game channels just kind of by accident. Like Captain Sparkles, I watch his Minecraft content, and now he's branched out to other content, and that's always been fun. I don't watch a lot of Let's Plays. I like the sketches about the games more than I like the actual watching of people playing in those games. I guess I was really into Small Ant and Point Crowd just because it was impressive what they were doing. I guess I still really am. I watched some Ludwig. Yeah, I think those are probably the big ones as far as video games go. Ludwig, Small Ant, Point Crowd. I guess Doug Doug. No, yeah, Doug Doug. That's funny. He's so funny. That's probably actually the best one.
Do you find yourself watching a lot of either playing games related to Door Monster sketches or watching a lot of content where there's like, here's these games that these people play, and oh yeah, Door Monster also had a sketch on that?
Oh, I 100% have bought some stuff, some video games because of Door Monster. RimWorld, which might be one of my favorite games of all time now, I bought because of a stream that Olive did with Kyle, and it was just so fun to watch, and in like such a cursed way. And the videos on RimWorld at that point also helped, but just watching them play, it was like, yeah, RimWorld. There's a couple of games like that where I just got it because of Door Monster. I got some Paradox games because of Door Monster, stuff like Prison Escape. No, not Prison Escape. What's it called? Prison Architect? Prison Architect.
That's the one. That's the one.
Yeah, I think it's called Duskers, which was
Yep,
like,
I remember Duskers.
yeah, that looks so cool. And I had a lot of fun with Duskers for like for a little bit. I had a lot of fun with Duskers because conceptually it was a really cool idea. Uh, I think a couple of times Door Monster got me to play Civ again. Like I would stop playing Civilization for a while, and then I would rewatch some Door Monster stuff, and I'd play Civilization again because it's just so fun, and to some extent, it's so synonymous with Door Monster now in my mind. There's a couple of games like that where I entirely bought it because of a Door Monster video, and I'm like, this looks fun. If I really wanted to go through my Steam library, I would see more, but I'm not gonna do that because I'm a little worried about what I'm gonna see and how much money I spent because of Door Monster. Stellaris, that one was another one too.
Yeah, curse you, Kyle, for making this man spend so much of his
Yeah,
money.
it's all Kyle's fault, and then in return, I gave him a game. Like, uh,
Yeah, he should be paying you, seriously.
honestly.
To kind of close it out, for someone who has never seen any Door Monster videos, what sketch or video would you recommend them first as like a good introduction?
Oh, it depends on the kind of person, I think. If they're like me, where they like Dungeons and Dragons stuff, like the Tavern or Diplomancy, I feel like is a really good introduction. But a lot of my friends aren't like that. Maybe I would go with maybe the hobo sketches. Because those kind of just start off really fun, but you don't need any like background. You don't even need like to have watched the previous hobo sketches really to find it funny. But going in order would help. And if they're more like video game people, probably the Civilization series, just because that's good. And you can really enjoy the videos without having to have played Civilization, as long as you've played like some kind of game like that.
Yeah, even if you haven't, I think it's a very easy way, like kind of video to get into.
100%.
There's the comedy and the idea of the like, as long as you know what that kind of game is, the idea of like a faux historical building competition game, like you get generic idea of that, then you're set. But yeah, no, I'd agree with that. Those are probably good ones to start people on as well. Thank you so much for joining us, Mefek. Unless there's anything else you want to plug real quick at the end of the video here.
I want to plug the Persona streams because they're so good. I want more.
That's the homework for anybody listening to this podcast. Go watch the Persona streams or the highlights.
Yeah. Maybe watch the highlights. The Persona streams are a little long.
Yeah, by the time you've caught up, the right now the highlights are probably only about an hour or so combined, and that will catch you up completely. Go ahead and watch those, and as soon as Kyle and Allison start streaming again, which we hope is soon, you'll be all caught up and ready to join the stream. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much, Mefek, for joining us.
Happy to be here.
And I hope whoever's listening has a happy Door Monster day. that was a completely improvised sign off. I hope that worked in the slightest. Um, have a happy Door Monster Day.